In fact, it creates anxiety among people when we have too many choices. When we have too many choices, the level of regret about making a choice goes up. Think of it. It's black, white, and mauve. That's pretty easy, isn't it? I'm going with the black. I don't particularly care for the white. I don't even know what mauve is. I'm not going to have any regret. Now I have 300 flavors, 300 choices, 300 different ideas, and every time when I make a choice, I think, but that one would be pretty good, and that one's interesting too, and this one is, and in the end, you are just overwhelmed, totally overwhelmed. It creates anxiety, it creates regret, and in the end, when people make a choice, they register a lower level of satisfaction when they have more options than when they have fewer. Again, this sounds to be counterintuitive, but there is very thorough research to back this up. So if you can simplify life for your client, this is an important one to keep in mind. We do want to have a great variety of products, but can we cluster those products around the needs of our customers? And our needs of our customers are, in that sense, limited. I know we have 30 million Canadians. Is that the right number? We have 300 million Americans. We don't need 330 million different packages. We can, in fact, cluster a great number of people under the same kinds of needs. So today, and later on in the breakout session, we'll talk about the decision process. First of all, I want to show you something here and why the process versus outcome is so important. And this is, if you have teams that you're working with, if you have people reporting to it, you have to do this check. You don't have to do it here in the room, but maybe in your own room or on the way home. There is the decision-making person, that's the DM. There are two choices. Under A, you can flip a fair coin, and you get $10,000 if it is heads. You get nothing if it is tail. Under B, when you flip the coin, it is $5,000 on heads and nothing on tail. Now, I'm going to make a bit of a challenge because you're such nice people. I want to see if I can push you the envelope a little bit. I think you'd have to agree with me that only a moron would pick B. All right? Would you agree with me? I can't quite see your faces, but from your laughter, I'm saying that that's a yes. At the point of the decision-making, DM, giving these choices, A is the one you go to because I told you that both coins are fair coins. Now, let's just play it out for a second. Let's just play it out. You picked A because you're smart. That's why you're here. You flipped the coin, chucks. Out comes 0. Now, what you don't do in poker is show the other hand. But in this case, we will. We'll take that other coin, the B coin, and what do you think? You figured it out already. Clunk. It comes up heads. If you'd taken that one, you would have won $5,000. Now, we do an executive MBA program at Wharton at the University of Pennsylvania, and I guarantee you that we have between 50 to 25% of executives arguing with us vehemently that they made a mistake. They should have picked B. Now, that's what is, it should be good news for you because that means there are enough morons at the top whom you can bypass if you have such an ambition. But the overall message, without getting into the executive culture of Manulife, but the overall message is you have to value process over outcome. And what do we do when we promote people? We look at outcome. We look at outcome. If somebody got a good result, and we can all agree that it was just dumb luck, that person gets promoted. If somebody got a tough outcome but made the right decision, I think in most cases these are called career-limiting moves. All right? So that's a little bit about the culture. I don't want to lecture too much about it, but I hope that you see it, that a lot of people focus on outcome, not on process. A good process sometimes will not have the right outcome. But a good process over the long run, the law of large numbers, if you play it often enough, will handily beat a moron on consistently. All right, so there we go. So the process that we have here is not so much a detailed step-by-step idea of what you should do and not do, but it is really thinking about 4 aspects of the process. And this morning I will be talking primarily about the issue of framing the decision. Now here is the number 1 dimension of manageritis. Not a Canadian disease, evidently, but certainly a U.S. disease. Manageritis is best understood as by the manager being confronted with a problem, having the immediate response of drawing the gun and say, boom, I got it, boom, I got it, boom, I got it. Solving one after the other. Do you know the old arcade game with the gopher? Whack the gopher. Yes, there you go. That's the problem that a lot of us have in managerial positions. And I'm one of them. I spent 5 years as an executive for an international company, and I recognize a lot of my old behavior in that. That there is a problem, I got an answer. There's a problem, I got a solution. That's why I'm a manager. But at one point, you sometimes have to step back and say, if I'm whacking the same mole over and over and over again, is it perhaps time to look under the hood and see that there is a 14-year-old popping up moles all over the place? I got to take care of the 14-year-old or whatever the problem is under the hood. But we don't do it. We shoot from the hip. We're solution-driven, and we rarely take the time to step back and think about these issues. And framing the issue, I will show you, is one of the most important things. It is thinking about the decision before you decide. Is it the right decision? Do I have the right people in the room? Am I the right person to be making this decision? Do I have the right information to make that decision? This is not an academic exercise. Academics, for all the right reasons, have a bad reputation. We go away for 7 years. We come back, write a 20-page article. Everybody calls Eureka. And then a year later, we write another article saying that our previous article was all wrong. In my profession, you get applauded for that. I have to believe that in your profession, you would be managing the outpost from hell. All right? Gathering intelligence, we'll be talking more in the workshop about it, because that is one of the most robust findings in social science, is that we tend to be overconfident. We think we know more than we do. We think that we know things that turn out not to be true, and that gets us in a heap of trouble very fast. Coming to conclusions is the part of the decision-making process that we've gotten much better at. We have a lot of tools. We have Bayesian modeling. We have decision trees. We have stochastic modeling. We have all sorts of processes and tools where we can make coming to conclusion a more rational aspect. And lastly is learning from experience. Learning from experience is the stepchild of the decision-making process. If you don't write it down, you will not learn from it. If I have one recommendation for your private, personal life, or maybe your career, is start a decision-making log book. Look at the decisions that you have made. Write down at the time when you made those decisions why. And I'm not looking for a 15-page document. Just do it by bullets. And then revisit it a year later, what it was that you learned. If you don't write it down, if you don't track it, you will not learn from it. It's an attribution failure that we all have. Success has many fathers. Failure is an orphan. What we do is that we think we learn by osmosis. We learn simply from our past experience. This is not true. We highly overrate our successes, and we rationalize away our failures. My suggestion to you around learning is that take your successes, get your rewards, by all means, but realize that it is impossible for you to establish what part of your success is your hard work, your proper positioning, or sheer luck. All right? That's difficult. On the other side of the equation, when we talk about failure, it will stare you in the eye, and you will be all alone with it. That's where you can learn. You'll learn from your mistakes much more than you learn from your successes. That's often forgotten in learning from experience, all right? We often look to rationalize away. We say, oh, it's the economy. It's the other department. It's corporate, all right? They never get it. That's the reasoning for saying what the failure is. But we have to look at these failures in our own side.